All right, now we're gonna go to Amendment 23. We're gonna go through this, these final amendments rapidly and see if we have any final questions that we can kind of clear up. And now let's see what we're gonna do here. The district constituting the seat of government of the United States shall appoint in such manner that Congress may direct. They are beginning now to appoint somebody. Let's see who they're going to appoint. A number of electors. They're appointed. What about? Of the president and vice president, equal to the whole number of senators and representatives in Congress to which the district would be entitled if it were state. The Constitution did not include the District of Columbia as a state. It excluded them. Now they'll have a representative in there as if they were a state. What you mean as if you were a state? And as if they all getting paid too? You got one, all of them got what they call delegates. If that's something wrong with you. This has not repealed the previous Constitution or anything. Just let's write things in here. And we people haven't said anything about it. But in event more than the least populous state, they shall be considered for the purpose of the election of the president and vice president to be electors appointed by state, and they shall meet in the district and perform such duties as provided by the 12th article of amendment. All right?
Hold it right there. Meet in the district of what? The District of Columbia?
Yeah.
The seat of the government then?
The seat of the government or either the territories.
Oh, okay.
Samoa and all those places.
Right.
That's what they're talking about. And they're referring back to when, like Jim was telling us, it's referring back to that 12th Amendment when it all got started.
They shouldn't go back to the Constitution that...
No, they stopped at the 12th. See, we're changing you. I've read in some articles that this new Constitution was altogether different from the other one, starting with the 12th. Now we got that famous clause here. The Congress shall have power to enforce this article according to appropriate legislation. Appropriate legislation changed throughout. It's always called appropriate. Never over against what the Constitution said, which is proper and necessary. Proper and necessary, I think we've gone over before, but it has to do, it's nothing extraneous about what's proper and necessary. If the Congress can do a thing, Congress can do a thing in its only manner that it can, and that's by legislation. And the only way they can correct a thing is through what is necessary, and the necessary means to accomplish it through legislation, the only means they have. So now they're talking about what is appropriate. Now I'm going to ask you, what is appropriate? Whatever I think is appropriate. You see? Now as we kind of wind down, we'll try to go back and take some questions if there are any on anything that we talked about throughout this. And I like to, let me just say this once again, that we are not talking about the Constitution in a manner that we want to try to change what the American people want. We are only trying to show the American people what they had in case they like this better and the majority wanted better. We have no hope. But at least we want to give them the opportunity to know what they had, and if they want what the founding fathers gave to them, then they'll know what they're taking back. Or else, if they don't and never be presented with what they had, they'll never know what the world asks for back or take back. Now we're going to 24. The right of the citizen of the United States. Again, the citizen of the United States, you know, we can give them rights. No God-given rights. You know, I'm the creature. I've become the creator. I'm giving rights of the United States to vote in any primary or other election for the president or vice president. Now it's all, not and. For electors for president or vice president or for senators representing Congress shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state. That still could mean the United States, which is the government, or any state, which could include Somalia, according to the IRS code, it names them.
Right, territory.
Okay. By reason of failure to pay any poll tax or other tax, taking away the state's rights. State's right wants you to do this. This you can't do by poll tax. Why? Well, you remember I talked to you about free and freedom. Let me just go back. What was the qualifications to be a juror? To be a juror, you were supposed to have been free and a freeholder. All these other people could not have been jurors. Freeholder means you own some land in fee simple. In fee simple, I'm sorry. So now we're getting everybody into that. You follow me? The Congress shall have power to enforce this appropriate legislation. Now, number 25, winding down. In case, here we go again, something strange about it. They're really qualifying this guy. I think they're doing it to make this person here take all of the blame. The most powerful group of the three branches is what? The executive branch. That's the power, where all power lies. It says that in Article 1. In case of the removal of the president from office or his death or resignation, the vice president shall become president. Allah-di-da. Isn't that something to tell us stupid people? Over and over he keeps saying something's wrong. I don't get it. But maybe some of y'all will find out why. Whenever there is a vacancy in the office of the vice president, the president shall nominate a vice president who shall take office upon confirmation by a majority of both houses in Congress. Anybody that they want at that time. Now, I'm trying to find out. Here we got another section of 25. When the president transmit to the president of the Senate and the Speaker of the House his written declaration that he is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, and until he transmit to them a written declaration to the contrary, such powers and duties shall be discharged by the vice president as acting president. You see why they make so many laws? I understood that in the 10th grade. Whenever the vice president and a majority of either the principal officers, whenever the vice president and the principal officers, that's like the candidate who's never been voted for, of the executive department, or of such other bodies as Congress may by law provide, any other cabinet members in the president's cabinet, or anybody else the Congress by law can make and say, well, Gene, you and you can blah, blah.
What about an Albright? We just got elected. Just the Secretary of State. We just appointed Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Secretary of Treasury, wasn't it?
Yeah, she comes in this group here. The principal officers, or Congress by law provide, transmit to the president of the Senate and to the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office. The vice president shall immediately assume the powers and duties of president as acting president. What are they saying? When we decide, I'm in the cabinet, and we get together and we decide, they used to call that a coup. We decide that you can't operate. In other words, I don't have to impeach you. All I have to do is just say, and we don't think you're able to cover it. Where is the doctors again? He could get a doctor to tell him, But in other words, they're saying, anytime we want to, we just have some people to say this, and then we will immediately, once they say this, the vice president shall immediately assume the power of duties of acting president. No questions about it. Those are all things that we are saying now about nothing but the president, nothing but the president, nothing but the president. I think here's some more about the president. Look. Now it goes on to say thereafter, when the president transmitted to the president of the Senate or the House Speaker of the House of Representatives has written declaration that no inability exists, he shall resume the powers and duties of his office unless the vice president and the majority of either of the principal officers of the executive department or of such other body of Congress may be permitted by law transmitted within 4 days to the president pro tem of House of Senate representative their written declaration that the president is unable to discharge his powers and duties of office. Therefore, the Congress shall decide the issue of assembly within 48 hours for the purpose if not in section. If the Congress within 21 days after Congress is required to assemble determines by 2/3 of the vote, both houses, that the president is unable to discharge his powers and duties of the office, the vice president shall continue to discharge the same as acting president. Otherwise, the president shall resume his powers and duties. In other words, he has to ask to come back and take his position of what we talked about before. We keep doing these things, and it's one up. Now we're coming down to number 26. One more after this one. The right of the citizen of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of age. That's pretty much self-explanatory. That's taking away states' rights.
What did that do to the 10th Amendment, huh? Anything?
Yeah, because it's taking away states' rights. The states don't have the right to decide what age you can vote. They have decided for you.
Federal government set the rules.
And here again is that clause again, to enforce by oversight decision. Now, I see something else on here. I thought that was the last one. But let's see. There it is. There's the one I've been looking for. This one. Do you look at that one? Look at this for a minute.
It's not in my Constitution.
We got to bring you up to date.
Yeah.
Listen at that. That Constitution has the same, Betts Amendment has the same grammatical provinces as the Bill of Rights. When they start saying further restrictive clauses. This amendment was in that first group of amendments. This was one of the amendments that was not ratified at the time, or it became ratified later, and they just put it in when the people started screaming about it, when they raised their salary. This one here, if you go back to your Bill of Rights, you will see that this one reads exactly like it. This is a restriction. And look how it reads. No law varying the compensation for the services of senators and representatives shall take effect until an election of representative shall have intervened. That's a restriction. This is one that was taken out of the first group that was brought up to them. All the others in between are changes. And an amendment cannot change. an amendment by legislature cannot change the Constitution. I've said it over, read read the Federalist Papers number 78, written by Hamilton, and it'll tell you that no legislative act can overturn the people's Constitution. But all in between, they have changed. What I have maybe thought, they are really making laws for themselves, putting it into the Constitution, and making it appear that it's laws for you. And when you assume something that is not, it becomes law. You remember what I told you about how the guy sold a truck? And when you accept that which is illegal, it becomes legal. So all those things that are happening, we're saying, oh, they can't do that. Yeah, some of us realize they can't do it, but all the Americans, they don't realize it. So all of these things here, and they don't hide it too much, because they mention the United States. This is for the United States. This is for the United States. This is for the United States. And we have gone out blowing the trumpet. United States. That's it. Have we lost the thing that we used to call America? We've lost it. What happened to America? What's the difference in America and the United States? It's a grave difference, and we have not taken the time to pass it on. We have to understand why we should demand and love the country that we call America. But when you start talking about other things, you're talking and falling into exactly where we want you to be. And that's within the framework of what they call the United States. You notice here, this amendment, you don't have any reference to that. Or the other 10 or 11. You don't have any reference to that United States. So when they talk about the United States, they're telling you. But no, they're telling you, and then they come out and bark it on television, the United States and the democracy. How far are they wrong? Within their framework and the laws that they can make for their territories and enclaves, it is a democracy.
Yeah, and they are right.
Well, you see what I'm saying? When they get 51%, they can do this, this, and other within their realm. But they've stretched it out further, and we have accepted it. Are there any questions?
You're on that appropriate, the Black's Law Dictionary.
Yep.
Makes a statement here. The exercise dominion over an object to the extent and for the purpose of making it subserve one's own proper use or pleasure.
What is that? Appropriation?
Appropriate. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
appropriate.
Okay. Tell me again now your own words. What does he say?
Well, they're trying to catch everybody to serve. As far as I can see, it's dominion over. They're using their power to make everybody serve like a king.
Ah, okay.
They can use dominion over because this puts them in the seat of a king.
That's a good point. I never noticed that is right. This one here kind of caught me by surprise. I think Ken got this, I don't know, similar to it, some things that I've made reference to in a talk that I've had. I think it's what most of this is about. And I was asking several questions, and I want to leave this on the tape so you can ask around about these questions. I wanted to be shown some certain things in our group for somebody to please show us these things. Show us Article 1, Section 1 of this Constitution for the United States of America. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. Show me in this article that we call the powerhouse of the Constitution. You don't have to go any further. I don't understand it. You don't have to go any further but to read the first one and stop and understand it. And nothing else would matter to you. It's telling you here, it says the Constitution of the United States of America. All. Do you know what all means? It didn't mean this. It means it's all legislative powers herein granted. What are the legislative powers? They are the enactments of laws. And if I say all of the powers to enact laws, that only the laws that's what? Herein granted. I'm not talking about no laws anywhere else. All the laws in Article 1 through 7 that are herein granted shall be vested or fixed in our Congress of the United States, which consists of the Senate, House of Representatives. No other laws can be made, I don't care if it's by President. All laws, but not all the laws that must be made, must be herein granted. What else do I need to say? That's it. You didn't have no way in that he had granted to them to hold you in a criminal suspect because of possession. There is no law in this Constitution that holds you responsible or anybody can do you for the possession of anything. There's no law. It tells you they can't make no laws unless it's here and granted. They make all kinds of laws. You can't go out there and put too much water in your yard. But next it says, where? Show me. Where here in granted can the United States government do what? Tax its citizens of the several states directly. Show me. Show me wherein herein granted can the senators be elected or appointed by someone other than the representative of their own states, and by what authority? We want to know to show us where is it herein granted can the United States government enact laws which are within the jurisdiction of the state. We'd like to know. We've read it and we can't find it. Show us where is it herein granted can the United States government enact laws against the militia group. Where is it herein granted can the United States government enact proclamations? Where is it herein granted can the United States President or Congress enact executive orders? I know people talk about all they've done this executive order. All I'm saying is fine. If you agree, we want you to show us where is it in this Constitution. The laws that you said that they could go by. Where did you say that they could make executive orders? Also, where is in this Constitution of the United States government to enact laws for or against the word of abortion? Where is it here in granted? In the first articles, that's what we're talking about. Where is it here in granted can the United States government enact laws against guns, the possession thereof of anything? Or if they can do away with you possessing anything, they can do away with your possession of ginger snaps. So be ready. Where is it here in granted can the United States President bring together the judiciary, the legislative, and executive branch of individuals and talk out differences? Where is it here in granted? We're supposed to have a separate branch of government. Where is it here in granted? Look, I see these people, look, please excuse me, I don't mean any harm. Are these people who are, these people, they're putting on, I think, one of the best shows that I've ever seen. Hollywood could never do anything any better. You got these people pretending that they all have different philosophies. And they grow up and they know when they get there they have different philosophies. And then the president can just snap his finger and offer them a free meal that we're paying for, and they're all sitting around like a bunch of, you follow me? It's just hard for me to understand. Separate branches of government. They got here in this Constitution what he's supposed to do, what you're supposed to do, and what everybody else is supposed to do. And not meet. I'm supposed to meet with a group that's talking about forming a party. I'm worried about, we need to wait with the word party, because for some reason that's all I see. Here you got people, you call them in, and they sit there and pretend to you on television, and we're gonna tell them this, and you tell them this, and you tell them this, and they pretend they're arguing, and you believe it. That's just like these people, this woman and man sit there and argue for years. One represents the Republican, one represents the Democrats. And they just argue and fought like men, unless you're too kind. And then they marry and get kids. And they still argue. Can you imagine what I would say to my wife in the bed that night? Honey, did we fool them again? I'd just like to have 40 like that. How can I have a different philosophy? And I know good and well that this lady's different philosophy. And I'm fell in love with her? What other reason than who can tell the best lie? Who can fool the American people better? We are just alike. What other means can it be? And I'm sorry to stop there, but I just had to bring that out. Where is it here and granted that the United States President introduced any bill or enact any law? Where is it in Article 2? This is a person who doesn't have hardly anything to do. Most of us will take that job for $56,000. And don't think about the vice president. He doesn't do anything, does he? His job is supposed to be president of the Senate. And he ain't never been there as long as I've been alive. It's a sad commentary. Here's a guy who can sit back there and make $100,000 a year and don't have to do anything but stand up behind the president. Lord, that's not. What have we lost our mind? People out here on the street hungry, and there's a guy sitting there.
He's smiling.
4 years, 8 years. All he has to do is pretend to write his speech for the next election. 4 years at $100,000 a year, and living up there on welfare. You know, if you could get a free house and free meal, that's welfare. So you have to realize, where is it in this Constitution granted can the Supreme Court have jurisdiction over anyone other than ambassadors, other public ministers, consuls, and over admiralty and maritime jurisdiction? Appellate jurisdiction is only if Congress grants. Now that's pretty well understood. Where do they get the jurisdiction? To hear all of these cases. Listen, when they have a case and the Congress don't want them to hear that case, Congress can make an exception. They passed this abortion thing, and we're after the judges, and the Congress saying it's the judges. And they could stop it any day. Just said, no, you can't rule on that. They did it on Reconstruction. They were supposed to take Reconstruction, was supposed to go to the Supreme Court. Congress said, no, you don't need to hear that. Huh? Now, don't tell me all that. Everything, the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court. What do they say about the Supreme Court? If you read history, they'll tell you some of the things that they say about it. That was supposed to have been your weakest part of government. But you got too many soldiers built up around it now. And we don't have anybody who will take the bull by the horns and put those people in check. All right, where is it that here in Granite can a foreign nation or state have headquarters located in this country like the United Nations? By what authority? Somebody show me. I can show you say where it says they can't. How can a foreign nation be sitting on your soil? I mean, somebody help me. How can a foreign nation sit on your soil? And then on top of that, you tell them what kind of treaty I want to make to enslave you. And they just sign off on it. The new one that just came in, he asking for $1 billion. And they got to cough it up. They're sitting there in one of our rich guys' place, furniture for them, on your soil doing business in your place. I guess the president, you know, after he retire, he might get a job as over the UN. They're in your country. How is that possible? Where is it that we gave foreigners the authority to come in our country, set in a new state, set up there in New York, do business in New York, about all the things that you and I or some of those don't particularly care about? How is that possible? I just ask you. Where is it herein granted? Can the United States President or Congress give up land that it owns to a foreign nation? Where is it that you can give up land to somebody else? Where is it herein granted? You gave up the Panama Canal. People, that's the people's property. And you just give it up? I don't understand. Where is it herein granted? Can amendments of the Constitution change the Constitution from what it originally meant? Where is it? What definitions can you find? Or you can find definitions in the new books make you think it's meant to change. No court case, Supreme Court case, or anything in the Federalist Papers will agree that you could make a change to the Constitution without the people consent. That doesn't, if you stop and think about it, that doesn't make any sense to any rational person. And I don't know how many of those we have left. Maybe it's in the water. But I tell you this, when you take it, people, and say that this Constitution, change this Constitution at will, then you've lost all of your authority. It doesn't make sense for you to sit back and draw up and put your stamp as sovereigns on this in this country. If the people of this country had not approved this Constitution, it never would have gone into existence. Now, where and why is it that you think somebody else can change it without your consent? That is, to me, doesn't make too much sense to me. But maybe that's a fault of my own. But these are just some points I wanted to bring out to you for you to think about.
Speak that up just a little bit, Doctor.
All right.
Yeah, it's getting, yeah, that's good, yeah.
All right. Now, if the Supreme Court of the land, the supreme law of the land, is the Constitution for the United States, and all laws made by Congress will be pursuant to the Constitution for the United States, by what or whose authority can treaties be made that are not pursuant to the original Constitution, like GATT and NAFTA and WTO? How? How? Well, we know how, but how do we get it over to the people? Now, this thing we say we hope people learn this Constitution. It's a hard chore to really learn it. But that's what we're counting on, that you never learn, small as it is. But I'd like to know, if in Article 7, 6 prohibits this, how can you turn around and who can make it? Who can do that thing? And they said, all laws which are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. How can you do this? What has happened, they don't want you to see these and this. Look, an unconstitutional act is not law. It confers no rights. It imposes no duty, affords no protection. It creates no office. It is legal contemplation as inoperative as though it had never been passed. You don't hear them talk about these Supreme Court cases. That's out. And they don't have to. You don't know them. Not you, but people, the public don't know them. What are you talking about? You know, we talked about they don't want you to know about these cases. They changed those cases after Erie Railroad versus Tompkins, 1938. They only go back to and quote the cases from 1938 forward. That's the UCC. Well, that's when the UCC came into effect.
Right.
After 1938.
Act 1938.
Okay. Now that's what changed. So we don't want you to quote these cases because we want everybody to fall under that UCC. Now finally it says, no one is bound to obey an unconstitutional law, and no court are bound to enforce it. And that's with volume 16, American Jurisprudence, 2nd edition, section 177. Are there any questions? There should be a lot of questions. Gene? But I tell you what.
I got one that all the way through this, I've been looking and trying to figure out that I haven't seen anywhere that they made an amendment that a president can pick his running mate yet.
That's
So
right.
how and why, how did it come about that a president can pick who he wants to run against in an election?
You know, that's a good question. And the thing about it is, I don't think there are a few Americans that might know the answer. But I have never seen anything in here. But for some reason, there was a hijacking somewhere. A hijacking of these political parties. The political parties were supposed to stay outside this arena that we call government. History shows that all these parties, they would go out and talk and run and talk all they want. But they were outside, but now they brought it in here. Someone told me the other night that these electors are not even elected. They're elected by the party, they tell me. I don't know for sure. Is that right?
Yes, the parties have held conventions and they put the people who go and do the election.
Well, look, I don't see how. That is another way that was not supposed to happen.
Was not supposed to happen.
Now, and then they set up their own rules, not part of the Constitution or anything. They set up their own rules by saying this, that if my party gets the majority of the votes, you have to vote for those people. It's making it appear like you're appointing them, but you're not. What kind of money are you paying me to go and sit up and do that? If you got the popular vote, and I've got you to swear an oath that you won't support the nominee, why in the world do you need to vote? I mean, it's just a sham. And you get all those free lunches, and who pays for it? So, all of these things.
Working for paying the taxes.
So all of these things that I've seen, like Ken points out, there's no rule because nobody's watching the candy store. And we were supposed to people to watch it. You have a good constitution, we have a republic. We had a republic. If you can keep it.
If you can keep it.
That's right. So now we've lost it, and many of us are really worried about it because this is, to me, believe it could be the last hurrah. So if there are any other questions that we might can answer about anything.
I'd just like to clear something up on lawyers. All lawyers didn't take that title of nobility, Doc. I mean, that being an Esquire. And I know some people will say, well, the founding fathers were lawyers, some of them were lawyers, and they was. But what needs to be cleared up on this thing is you have two types of lawyers. You had lawyers in law and lawyers at law. So the founding fathers that were lawyers, I think, was attorneys in law. Had to be right Constitution. And one other thing.
All right.
I think people ought to find out, know and find out who their enemies are. Because we definitely got some enemies out here, and people need to know who their enemies are. And I wish they would find out.
Well, I hope they'll find out that the person that we believe the enemies are the enemies to the Constitution. And there are a sinister group, and what I think we're doing, we're making a mistake by thinking that our enemies don't look like us. And I think that's a very important thing to keep in mind, because we got people up there of every link. Once they get in that office and that cesspool, they all kind of smell the high heavens, and so they're all together, and they don't do anything against one another. And those are the things that we could unite. You know, like Walt was telling you outside, if we would ever unite, we would stop it tomorrow. But their job is to make sure you never unite. That's what I believe. So that's that.
As long as they keep us separate, keep us fighting each other, keep us at bay, then they're going to continue with these tactics that they're working with.
Yes.
Against them.
Yes, I'm educated.
Yeah, that's right. So if we can do that, and I think all of y'all have done a marvelous job with all the work that you all have done. I have to thank Ken enough if I can say that, and all of you, Jim, and what is his name?
I'll answer most things.
Yeah, and I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to come in and sit with you for a while. I'm not trying to we're not trying to overthrow anything, we're just trying to learn. And if someone has a better idea of how this thing is supposed to work, we'll be happy to learn from you and come over and teach us what you know, because we're anxious to learn. So if we can do that, and we'll do everything that we can to keep this show on the road. And with that, maybe, are there any other questions?
Although I'd just like to make one comment. You're giving us credit, we definitely need to give you credit, because if it were not for you educating us, the public school system definitely did not educate us. So if it were not you educating us, we would be like 98% of the rest of the populace, and thank God we're not. So we definitely thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you very much.
kind. Thank you. Now, I've enjoyed it, and if I can be of any service, I'm always willing to help, because, one thing that many people don't realize that, I love America too. And I think that's not said enough from my point of view, that America is a country that I care a great deal about. I think there's some corrective things that needs to be done, but I think it needs to be done by you. And the only thing we can do is try. Because if I am caught in a trap, and the majority of the people hold the key to unlocking the trap, it's going to take that minimum of majority that's left to try and free me. Because I have no qualms about it. I have no qualms about it. There has never been any release for me or my people, I believe. So until the majority that's left can do something to change that. And until they free themselves, I shall never be free. Until they free themselves, I don't see how it's possible. The strangest thing that happened to me many years ago in college, when I met some African students, and I was inquisitive, whereas most of the other people would not talk to them. So I asked them, and you know what they told me? That's been over 30 years ago. And they told me, I said, why is it that the African people don't come over and talk to us and this sort of thing? And to my surprise, this was the answer that I received. It's because we had an idea that you in America was going to be someone that we could come over here and look up to. And we didn't find it. We had heard so much about America. And when we came looking for our lost brother, we knew that he was going to be successful and standing on a pedestal. And this is what we found. So with that, I'd like to say again, thank you for the opportunity, and I was happy to be here with you.
Doc, I'd like to say one thing. I think everybody in this country has a moral obligation to know this Constitution, to learn this Constitution. I think that it should be a duty of every person new here to know this Constitution and try to enforce this thing.
Yeah. I'll be
There's been a lot of bloodshed over this thing, and probably be some more. But I just think every American, it's their bound duty to know it, I think, and they should learn it willingly.
Well, I'm sure of that.
Gene's right about one thing, enforce the Constitution, because none of the government is enforcing the Constitution right now. Even the judges are trying to bypass it.
Well, I've always said, if the original Constitution was enforced, everything would correct itself in the morning.
Right.
If the original Constitution, that's it.